the riff that you're about to learn. We're going to jump right into this. So I'm calling this my melodic heavy metal rhythm. And the thing about this riff that makes it so fun to play is that you can just take off with this thing. There's so much more you can do with this riff here. Learning the concepts that we're about to get into in this lesson, there's so much you can do with this in regards to writing your own riffs, which I encourage you guys to do that. We're going to jump right into this, but first, my Patreon supporters, you guys, of course, have the tabs and the backing tracks. Remember, the full mix with the guitars and the full mix with just the bass and drums, so make sure you download those. And as always, hang around after the lesson. At the end of the video, we'll have our usual guitar chat. Got some real cool stuff to share with you, and I'll also tell you what's coming up on the next lesson. First, let's play it out in the open, then we'll break it down. Alright, so there are only 4 power chords total that we're playing here, and we're basing it around 3 power chords starting out. We're in the key of A minor, so let's call out the power chords real quick, okay? We're playing an A power chord, that's kind of our home base, if you will. We're also playing an F power chord and a G power chord. Then the second time around, we throw in a C power chord. So this is the basic rhythm structure right here. You can do so much, okay guys, you can do so much with just that, with what we played right there. Oh man, I could talk about this and kind of show you different things for days, okay? We're gonna focus on this one riff, but just that structure alone, I mean, you can do so much with that. We'll talk more about that, of course, in the guitar chat coming up after the lesson. So let's break this down into 2 sections. So the first section here, we'll just focus on that for now, okay? Based on the A, the F, the G, and it goes like this. Okay, so a bit of movement. Now the cool thing is this first part, I don't want to say this is difficult, but this has the most movement, okay? Well, and sometimes more movement means a little bit more challenging to some. Then the second half is pretty easy. We'll blow through that one. But let's focus on this first, okay? We've got the A power chord there. We're only playing those 2 strings, the A and the D string, right? And we've got this kind of choppy palm muted pattern. We're playing all downstrokes here, by the way. And as most of you guys know, I'm in standard tuning. I shouldn't even have to say that because you guys already know that. So anyway, we're on the A power chord. We're going to be going back and forth. It's a real cool strategy, going back and forth between the A and the D strings. So watch closely and just listen closely to what I'm doing here. What I'm doing, guys, is again going back and forth. So we're going to play the A power chord, okay? Then we're just going to palm mute that first open A string. Right after that, we're going to go to the next string, 2nd fret, okay? And we're going to go back and palm mute the first string again, and then we're going to go back to the D string again, open and 2. And then we kind of finish out after that. There's kind of some more back and forth there. Just watch real closely. I can explain this, right? But I think it's best just to watch what I'm doing. I'm going to play this through a few times. So those of you who are kind of beyond this point, just please bear with me for about the next 30 seconds here, because I want those who are sort of new to this part and maybe might find this a little challenging because the back and forth, I want you guys to get this down, okay? And if you have to pause the video right here, okay, if you have to pause the video and just keep coming back to this part, you know, play it and come back to this part, feel free to do that. again, just one part of this rhythm, that one little part right there, guys, you can just take off of that and add so much to it, kind of go off on your own, which is what I encourage you to do. But first, let's go through the rest of this lesson. And guys, I know I'm going through this first part kind of slow here, because again, this may or may not be, challenging. I know it's not challenging to some, but some of you it might be a little challenging. So I really want you to get this again, because there's just so much you can do. Not playing exactly what I'm playing, but just the concept of it. If you can just get this concept, the going back and forth between strings, the palm muting with the downstrokes there's just a lot you guys can do with this, okay? So next riff after that, after we do this next part on the F power chord, everything gets really easy and we'll just breeze right through that, okay? So let's go from the A to the F. Okay, and then we go up to the G after the F, but the movement, more of the finger movement is on that F there. So we're doing this right here. We're on the F power chord, all right? Of course, we're on the first fret of the first string there. Your standard power chord, second string, third fret there. But we're just playing that single note, okay? And then we're going to play the next string over, right, which is your third fret A string, and we're going back to the first string, then back to the second string, but we're going to be playing around with the second and third fret. Again, a mouthful there, but I think it's easier. Just watch my hands. Watch what we're doing here. Give me about 20 or 30 seconds here to just slowly go through this with you. I'm also going to slide up to the G, right, and do the palm mutings. Bear with me for about 20, 25, 27 seconds, whatever. Here we go. Alright, so the most challenging part of the riff's over with. We move on to just the next series of 3 power chords here, which we're just gonna play. So we'll start that A out just like we did before, but those last 2 power chords, we're done with the riffing part, so it's like this here. The A, same thing we just did, so we're not going to go through that again. All we're doing differently here is instead of F to G and all the movement that we did with that, we're just letting that C ring out, and then we're going to the G and letting that ring out as well. We'll talk more about the contrast between the 2 sections there when we get to our guitar chat. Let's go through this riff one more time. I'll go through it slow, then I'll play it at whatever the normal speed is. I think the BPM is like 157 or something like that. It is time for our guitar chat, guys, but real quick, if you do not have my free Metal Riffs and Licks practice guide, there's a link in the description of this video. Make sure you download a copy of that. Now, if you already have Metal Riffs and Licks, do check out my online guitar courses. I've got 2 courses out there as of now. Metal Guitar Apprentice, that's for beginners, or if you need to revisit the fundamentals of metal guitar. If you're beyond that level, then I've got Metal Riffmaster out there for you. I'm also working on a lead guitar course, more coming up on that. The links to my practice guide and all of my guitar courses are in the description of this video. This riff is an awesome riff to expand on, and the reason why is because it's not just based on a power chord. Remember the last lesson that I gave you a week ago, a week prior to this lesson? That goes with this, by the way. I'll explain that in a second, and I'll tell you what's coming up on the next lesson as well, so hang in here with me for a little bit. But I want to show you how easy it is to really expand on these types of riffs, because it's not just based on a chord, it's based on a progression. And this is so beautiful, by the way. This is where it gets really fun, because we've got this chord, then that chord, then that chord. We've got the A, the F, and the G. And of course, the second time around, instead of the F, we play a C instead, which I challenge you to play around with your riffs. Maybe you write something one way, but the second half of that riff doesn't have to just loop. It doesn't have to be a replica. It can be, nothing wrong with that. But I want to challenge you to maybe play it a little bit different the second time around. Maybe less, or maybe more. However you want to do it, right? But just kind of think outside just that riff. What else can you do with that? Going back to the progression though, again, this isn't based on just one chord like the riff we played in our last lesson. This is based on a progression. So there are not only more riffs that you can come up with, right? Because you can play some riffs with that A power chord like we did, right? Those little riffs were based on the A power chord. Next, we go to the F power chord. Well, we've got some riffage going on up here on the F power chord. So we just opened up a window for more riffs if we want to run with it, right? Then we go to the G after that. If you wanted to play some single note riffs there, you could. If you want to let it ring out, you can. If you want to just chop it up a little bit, whatever you want to do with it, guys. But we've got a progression, not just one chord that the riff is based on. We've got these series of riffs based on a progression. So this just allows many, many more doors, many, many more opportunities for you to write and expand on it. Now, one thing I want to point out here, all this stuff might sound a little overwhelming. You're like, well, Jason, you know, I got to write all these complicated riffs for every chord. And I would say, no, you don't. Remember, the second time around, we didn't really complicate things. We replicated the riff that we played based on the A power chord, right? But after that, instead of going to the F and playing some notes there, some riffage there, we just went to the C power chord. We just let it ring out, okay? Same thing, G, we let it ring out. We let the song breathe a little bit. And guys, there's nothing wrong with writing busy notes. That's fine if you want your song to be just filled with notes. Nothing wrong with that at all, okay? I don't discourage that. But I challenge you to sometimes maybe consider letting the song breathe a little bit. Sometimes it's cool just to let that chord ring out. And then when you go to those next series of notes, right? We let the C ring out, we let the G ring out. If we're gonna go back to that A where we've got more riffage going on, it almost makes that riffage sound a little bit more powerful. It almost makes it more impactful because we let the song breathe a little bit here, okay? It's like, oh, okay. Now we're kind of just flowing, going with emotion here, or with emotion rather, because that's what music is. Music really pounds those emotions, right? So we're like, man, we're really feeling something with this. This also leaves room for other instruments to do something. Maybe you have a lead, maybe you don't, or maybe you want to do something cool with the bass right there, right? With the bass and drums, maybe they do something a little different to highlight those sections while the guitars are just kind of letting it flow. Okay, then we go back to some riffage if you want to do that. Just some food for thought. Speaking of food, I'm kind of hungry right now. All right, so I've got a short piece of music for you to listen to. You'll hear this riff that you just learned, and I'm also going to share what's coming up next on the next lesson after this riff. It's only about a minute long, not even, so here it is. Now, if you didn't catch my lesson on the first part of what you just heard, and that kind of goes together with, of course, the rest of the progressions here, the ones we learned in this video, I'll put a link up there. Do go check that out. And what's coming up next, a week from this video, I'm going to share how to play the first guitar solo that you heard in that little piece of music. So hey, if you want to rewind it and go back and check that out again and prep yourself for that, because we're going to be going over that, the very first solo. And I'll probably do the second solo. There's a little solo in there. I'll probably do that one on the video after that. So yeah, a week from today, that first solo will be out there. Of course, my Patreon supporters, you guys will have the tabs for that and a backing track to play along with. And guys, leave me any questions you have, any comments, leave those below. And hey, please make sure you give this a thumbs up if it helped you, if you got some value out of this. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel and push that little notification button. That way you'll get notified when cool videos like this one come out. And guys, I hope you have an awesome rest of the day. Until next time, keep it metal.